Ladies and gentlemen, it's been done again. Betfas has finished #1 in the world on ladder for the second season in 3 months. 2 seasons ago, he was able to finish #1 in the world and cemented his name in Expo cycle history. Now, in a meta full of Goblin Hut, Evo Witch, and Golden Knight, he has piloted 3.0 Xbow cycle to the top once more. In this video, I'll be bringing the much beloved Betfas series back here on the SK channel and commentate over and analyze his final end season gameplay for #1. You all absolutely adore this series and always want me to make more, so you're welcome in advance because this gameplay is crazy. I made it extra long and included tons of games I recorded for you to watch and learn from. Also, only a small percentage of people that watch my channel are actually subscribed. If you enjoy the content and my educational analysis of insane exocycle achievements like this one, consider subscribing. It's free and it would really help me out. Plus, it would let me know that you're interested in more videos like these, which is a win-win for both of us. Alright, enjoy the video. Alright, we got Betfas versus Mugi, and this is going to be absolutely insane because both players are at 3850 medals right now. I believe both are in the top 5, if not top 3, on ladder, so I think whoever wins this might just go home with the #1 finish. Betfas, having finished #1 just a couple of seasons ago, might just be able to get his shot at a second #1 in 3 months. That is actually absurd with 3.0 Xbow cycle. Mugi on the top here playing what looks to be minor poison with the Evo breakers. We'll have to see the champion he's playing. It's either going to be a Golden Knight or a Mighty Miner. We do see the Mighty Miner come down. Betfas having that early Tesla played first card, as it looks like Mugi maybe played the wall breakers first play, so just kind of matching that. And this is going to be wild because Mugi is one big task of an opponent for Betfas to get past. I mean, he is a former CRL world champion, having won CRL. He's obviously one of the most talented players to ever play this game, and just a very good opponent, and definitely a tough one too. Evo breakers come down, but Evo Tesla coupled with the log takes them out. That is absurd. I did not know that would work out that way. The Evo Tesla pulse just helps those wall breakers get in perfect range to get killed by the wall break, or by the log rather. If you guys did not know, a bit of chip plus a log will full counter Evo breakers like E-Spirit plus log, or I guess a Tesla pulse, and Betfas comes out with an early lead. But the problem with this situation is that you never want to go same lane against minor wall breakers, right? Minor poison, any kind of big spell, they can just poison you out in the same lane, and so you can see Betfas is going to take the fireball on Mugi's Goblin Hut, even though it's intentionally in the opposing lane. I want to get my emotes in here. If this match does go down in history, I want to be recorded there, you know. But we see an early expo by Betfas here after having defended that big push. Mugi kind of low in elixir right now, actually goes for the Goblin Hut, and look at that beautiful fireball value on everything, on the breakers, on the Evo bats, logs off the Goblin Hut, but Mighty Miner will come down to tank, and that Evo Archer is sort of rendered useless. Just a late log. Very well played by Mugi. Betfas predicting the spears though, getting those archers high, with this expo getting its maximum value, takes everything out, and so just like that, Betfas has a very nice damage lead. Just resets with a pre-Tesla, which I think is a pretty good play because it's an anti-poison placement, and Mugi can't really do much against it. He can obviously go minor poison on the tower, which he does, but he can't necessarily just go for, you know, something like a wall breaker play or bats in the middle. It'll all just kind of evaporate to the Tesla, and you can see that he has to be very wary of ever cycling his Mighty Miner. He's kind of saving it for every expo to tank. He's also going with this Evo breakers again, clipped by the Evo Tesla. Really good prediction by Betfas, or just poor calculation by Mugi, getting a very nice potential lock here. Spears opposite to pressure, they'll get skeletons, and that is a nice little micro defense. Betfas has to keep up the pressure, has a slight elixir lead right now as Mugi goes for the Goblin Hut, and this game is just absolutely absurd. Wall breakers, E-Spirit log does come down, but not in time. If that was in time, that might have been a good game with the Evo Archers helping out too, but fortunately for Mugi, the wall breakers take out the expo, and now we are once again in a reset position. Betfas goes for the pre-Tesla on the tower, and we are entering triple elixir actually with a damage deficit for Betfas, guys. He is down about 100. Takes the fireball on the right side tower. Mugi, I don't know if he intended to give that fireball value, but Betfas will definitely take that. Prediction, wall breakers at the bridge to try and get an expo by Betfas, which Mugi does not clip, and now he's kind of struggling because he has a Mighty Miner down in the opposite lane, not necessarily going to tank for the expo immediately, but what he can do is he can get back to a poison. You can see drawing a Venn diagram on the map with multiple poisons in a quick succession, because that 3-card cycle is just crazy. Betfas kind of has to get an Expo lock right now. Again, that Evo Tesla play on the wall breakers, that's just been the MVP this game so far. Evo Tesla for the Evo breakers. We see the Fireball on the HUD again. Evo Archer's high. Mugi got a minor poison on the tower again. Betfas does catch with the E-Spirit and the Knight, so no minor hits taken at all. We'll see a log on the breakers too. Goblin Hut low, which should get fireballed off. Yes, it will. And Mugi has to minor poison again, but I don't think he can afford it because he has to defend this Expo. In the meantime, Expo threatened to get a lock, and I think Betfas might just take it. Oh my goodness, gets the Expo lock last minute, gets the fireball down, and just like that, insane pressure preventing Mugi from spamming minor poisons on the tower, and Betfas is able to take it against one of the best players in the world in a crazy match. And I think we'll check out the leaderboard, but that might just be number one for Betfas, because let's take a look at how much time is left in the season. This is genuinely very end season type stuff. Yeah, there are 3 minutes left right now, and let's take a look at the leaderboard because I want to see. And yo, Riley at Betfas tied medals, but Betfas has a number one. Mugi falling quite a long way down, so Betfas does get the number one off of that win. Riley not in a match. I think Betfas might have just taken it. I think that might have been the game for number one. Absolutely insane stuff that we just witnessed. Riley not playing, so I don't think there's enough time. I think Betfas really just won. Riley number two and Betfas number one, right? That's what it's looking to shape up to be. So that game against Mugi really just said everything, I suppose, and that is another number one finish. I just cannot believe what I'm witnessing. Alright, we got another match. It's Betfas against Issei, and both players are above 3,800. Issei going to be a great opponent for Betfas, because he is one of the best bridge spam players in the world, has a number one finish with P.E.K.K.A, and this Boss Bandit bridge spam deck that Issei is most definitely playing is one of the best decks in the meta, so I'd like to show you guys how to deal with this deck based on how Betfas plays against it too, because it's personally a deck that I struggle with a little as well with 3.0 Xbow, and Boss Bandit is just so overpowered, so I would like to see exactly how this is done. Issei just leaking Elixir does not want to get down. Betfas will probably just split archers again, because as you can see, he's already played one pair before, so in the next about 30 seconds or so, he will actually get back to another pair of archers, and they will be evolved. That's going to be a big deal to maybe break through, because against this deck, they only have Barb Barrel, Snowball, and Lightning, so if you look at their deck, they actually do have a structural weakness against the archers. Issei just full on leaking. This is not him lagging out. This is genuinely just his strategy to genuinely play against Betfas, and I guess doesn't want to give him any kind of initiative and single elixir, because I suppose that's what he's worried about. Betfas just gets a casual about 400 damage lead though, and now here's the problem for Issei. Betfas has the Evo Archers on the board, gets that Expo down opposite, and Knight to block the Bandit too. He is also back to Skelly's, I believe, for the Boss Bandit. Yes, he is. And so the Evo Archer helping out both. Look at that micro with the E-Spirit too, pulling it over, and that's going to be a nice mini lock in the right. Boss Bandit taken care of. I believe Knight gets a shot on the right too. Evo Archer gets 2 power shots in the left, and overall this is just really, really bad for Issei in every way. I don't think it was the right play to make and the correct call to just leak Elixir and sack all that damage at the start, allow Betfas to freely cycle to his Evo Archers. I think that was kind of a mistake, and now Betfas going into double with a 1,500 lead. This is a big deal. By the way, I have watched Betfas play this matchup countless times. He's pretty good against it, but he's also lost against some of the best players. He's lost against Polaris, he's lost against Lord Seb, and I think even lost against Issei himself on another account, so definitely not an easy matchup in the sense that it's just free. I think it looks okay for Expo, but you still have to play pretty well, and again, Betfas has both won and lost. Evo Eggsy comes down, Betfas just kind of light protecting that Expo on the left, trying to sort of build an initiative, and actually does get a mini lock in the left too, so yo, that actually puts him in the lead. I did not expect that Expo to get that much damage. Not gonna lie guys, Expo is pretty solid after the damage buff as a card. I still think it's not the best win con as a whole, but I mean, that damage buff actually makes it pretty underwhelming. Sometimes you just don't expect to do that much damage, and it really does. Although that unfortunate Ram is going to attack the Expo. A nice Evo Snowball by Issei will take the Expo out. Betfas tried to protect it, and Issei was down a lot of Elixir, so if he didn't make that pre-Evo Snowball, I think he would have just lost on that lock right on the spot, as he went for pretty aggressive Lightning on the Tesla in the left, hitting the tower too. that just having those evil archers to punish. But nonetheless, just another ram coming in. Most likely going to see a lightning for Issei, but archers again just putting in work. Look at how he's utilizing his archers, guys. Just protecting them and getting them to get a lot of value, because again, Issei has trouble kind of taking out the archers by themselves. Lightning will come down on all of that in the left, but now Betfas has a pretty nice initiative, I would say, although Boss Bandit is kind of forcing Betfas to overspend every time. That is just crazy. Dodging the log. Can he activate King? I don't think so. Boss Bandit is pretty tricky to activate against. We see that dash come in again. We will see an E-Spirit trying to activate, and he does get it off. Oh my goodness, that is what I always wanted to get when I play against Boss Bandit, but it's just so tricky maintaining their constant dash on the abilities and just trying to play around it. So Betfas just blocking both dashes with the abilities, getting that King Tower activation. Now this is just looking amazing for Betfas. Fireball cycles on the Ghost, which you can definitely afford to do in this position, because all he has to do now is survive till 5 minutes and he will win, because he already got a nice Expo lock earlier. Huge lightning for Issei though. That hits the Tesla and the Knight as well as the tower. Betfas is back to a Tesla though. Log on the ram, and Evo Snowball trying to clear a path, but the E-Spirit will help, and that King Tower, crucial in maintaining that defense. No ram connections on the tower. The only way Betfas chokes here is if he gives up a ram connection. We see the nice Expo kind of pressure while defending. You can see Issei's forced to go Boss Bandit, which means he absolutely cannot afford to go for a lightning on the left side tower, and Betfas still protecting this, goes for a nice log to reset that ram as well. Issei actually in a lot of trouble. I mean, he needs to defend this Expo, and those archers, just everything on the board placed pretty calculated for Betfas. Gets a lock last second as well. Issei doesn't even get the Ram Rider down in time, and that is just destruction. Honestly, I think that would have been a much closer game, because Issei was coming back if Issei did not mess up in single. But Betfas played a pretty good aggressive single with the Evo Archer split. Again, Archer's key in this matchup, and just beating one of the best bridge spam players in the entire world, one of the best decks in the meta. And that's going to be #1 in the world for Betfas. That is crazy. 3,850 now. And you can see that, yo, he's top 2 on both of his accounts. So insane season for Betfas so far. Great win against Issei, who falls down to #3, who was formerly #1 in the world before that win. Absolutely crazy stuff. We got a match, Betfas versus Hypno, for 3.8k by Betfas, and this is going to be a great one because I personally believe the Hypno deck is a very overrated matchup in terms of how easy it is for 3.0 Xbow cycle. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a good matchup, and we definitely have a lot of counters to them, having the Fireball when they have no spells, the Log, E-Spirit, Evo Tesla for their spam. But at the end of the day, it can become very tricky to withstand the pressure against a good player, especially someone like Hypno, who is the creator of this deck, who is one of the best in the entire world of this deck, in addition to people like Riley. So I think I would like to see how Betfas withstands Hypno's pressure, and just show you guys how to defend against this deck, because I have actually seen a lot of my friends lose against this deck with 3.0 on top ladder. Even though, again, I think it is a good matchup, it can be pretty tricky against a good player who knows how to pressure right, and it just becomes a lot to deal with. You know, you have to have perfect management of cycle, elixir, and everything. So nice protection of Hypno's Princess there, forcing out the Log by Betfas. Now Hypno might go in with a barrel punish because Betfas doesn't have Log available. He's also up elixir, so might try and capitalize on that. Nice micro by Betfas, E-Spirit up high to block the Ice Spirit, Skelly's low for the barrel, and that's going to kind of equalize a little bit. But again, I am honestly worried for how Betfas is going to deal with this, because I think it's going to be a lot of pressure, and again, I have seen this loss at top ladder, but I think Betfas, someone like him, is probably not going to lose this match, so we'll see how this goes. I think the Evo Archer is also going to be pretty instrumental in this. Might see an Expo with them, yes we will, and we have to see how Hypno deals with that right now. Princess down low. We will see the Knight tank for the Princess, which is so fortunate for Betfas. Evo Tesla comes to retarget that, and that might just be a good game, honestly. Low wall breakers for Hypno. Has no elixir right now. Evo Tesla kills the breaker before Hypno can react in time with the Goblin Gang, and that's going to be a huge lock in the other side. Dark Goblin comes down a little too late, and Betfas up 5 elixir right now. I think we will definitely see another offensive Expo, because he should recognize that he is up elixir, yes, and wants to press the advantage. I think we might even see a Log on this Princess, if I'm not mistaken, because I think that is something that you want to do against these types of decks. Or Log on the Breaker, as a matter of fact. Yes, we see a Log on the Breakers plus Cannon. As you guys can see, even though it is a very bait heavy matchup and there's a lot of spam to be used against you, it is important to utilize your log on offense. And Betfas gets a lock, even though he takes a lot of damage in both lanes from the Evo barrel punish, he gets even more with the next minute. Hypno actually straight up gives up, so okay, I guess I was overstating how hard it is to defend. It looks like Betfas subscribes to the ideology that you just want to go in and pressure constantly, just kind of putting Hypno on a tee here, and nothing he can really do. That was a great win, just showing the power of the Evo Tesla and Evo Archers to break through against this deck, and the willingness to sack damage and use the log on offense. And that's going to put Betfas at number 3 in the world now. Great win against one of the best in the world, Hypno. And that's going to be number 1 and number 3. I can't believe what we're seeing right now. This leaderboard is shaping up to be crazy. Betfas first, Betfas third, just absolutely wild. So those were the final 3 games in reverse order for Betfas to finish number 1 in the world. Now I'll just be showing you an assortment of my favorite games I recorded throughout the season end, including some crazy wins against Golden Knight Earthquake and Royal Recruits. Alright, we got Betfas versus Pedro, and this is going to be an insane one because Pedro, a world-class player, one of the top players of Clash, competed in CRL, of course, and has finished number 1 in the world himself just last season. So absolutely insane player, going to be a great one. Look what he pulls out. We see the Golden Knight and the Earthquake, so I don't know if I should call it too early, but this almost feels like a snipe because I don't really see decks like these in the meta. Royal Hugs Earthquake with the Golden Knight Earthquake. I think that it's usually Royal Hugs Earthquake with the Archer Queen, Evo Cannon. This time Pedro has the Goblin Hut. He has, again, the Golden Knight, of course, which is a much better tank than anything the Archer Queen can offer, and I feel like it's going to be a tough one. Betfas, of course, told me that he was actually going for an insane finish this season. He told me that no matter what the matchup is, he's going to adapt and find a way to win. That was honestly crazy to hear from him. But yeah, Pedro gets a nice Firecracker to get some damage, but does come at the cost of a King Tower activation, which Betfas will happily take. Again, just Golden Knight plus Earthquake, and you can't even defend a Golden Knight. Look at that, because if you go for a Knight to block it, they just go for the dash and it hits your Xbow. So that's why I feel like this matchup is definitely going to be rough. The one saving grace that Betfas has is that Fireball does more damage than an Earthquake. So in a picture-perfect scenario, if Betfas does not take any Royal Hogs damage, any incidental Firecracker chip, and even one Golden Knight dash on the tower, he could potentially just win with the Spell Cycle race. But it's going to be much easier said than done, because when you have cards like the Firecracker to be an X factor, when you have the Golden Knight to dash, and all of that stuff is just going to be complicated, you know what I mean? So we have to see how Betfas controls this. We do see the Knight come down, and he has to be very aware of Pedro's cycle at all times this matchup. Very nice Fireball comes down on the Golden Knight. Pedro matches it with an Earthquake, and you see even though Pedro has more damage in the left lane, he is spell cycling in the right, because obviously as the Expo player, you do not want to go same lane as an Earthquake player. You don't want them to get Earthquakes on your Expo plus weak side tower. On the other hand, Pedro wants to go same lane so he can constantly get good spell value, going for an Earthquake on the tower when necessary. Betfas gets a nice log, and a bit of an overspend by Pedro with that new Earthquake cycled in. Nice Expo log for Betfas, but not even enough. Look at that, he has another lead in the left for Pedro because he just had damage from before, and so it doesn't really matter which lane you go in. They can just Earthquake you out, they can obviously Firecracker you out and hit the tower with it too. Like, this is just going to be tough, honestly. Although Pedro is kind of messing up these Firecracker snipes, and Betfas having it go his way, pretty fortunate. Firecracker does get taken out with the help of the log and one Tesla Pulse, or attack, I guess. I call the Evo Tesla's attack a pulse. And the naked Fireball cycle by Betfas. We will definitely see some piggies come down for Pedro to try and punish, or will we not? No, we're just going to see some spell cycle matching. And so Pedro's still in the lead in the right. Betfas does go for an offensive bow now into a Golden Knight, unfortunately, though. Don't know if he would do that in hindsight, if he knew the Golden Knight was there before he did that. But EQ does get forced out, and now I guess Betfas can just throw a Fireball in tower again. So you can see exactly how he's controlling this match. Just Expo opposite to Pedro to force out the Earthquake in the lane that doesn't want damage, and Pedro does decide to not go in Betfas' lane, which I think might be a mistake, because I mean he's only down about 200 in the right, although Evo Firecracker causing some problems, wreaking havoc, getting that connection to the tower, and so I think if Pedro Earthquake cycled the right, he would actually be in a better spot here. But nonetheless, we see the EQ cycle with the 3-card cycle offered by the Golden Knight. That's going to be problematic, because again, that's just something that you cannot keep up with as a non-champion deck. Betfas has to go offensive bow to pressure now. He can't just spell cycle, because you're honestly going to straight up lose to a champion spell cycling you. Fireball comes down, hitting the Evo Ice Spirit, which is huge, because Evo Ice is actually pretty good, and Betfas has a damage lead and a healthy Evo Tesla on the board. Golden Knight does come down for this bow, Knight to block it. Firecracker also gets blocked by the Knight. We'll see a nice log on the Golden Knight plus Firecracker, a Fireball on the tower, and Xbow is still healthy because Pedro is cycling Earthquakes while having this Xbow to deal with. Firecracker will take it out, but at the end of the day, there's only 15 seconds left, and I think Betfas might just walked away with this one. We see a bow come down, not allowing Pedro to EQ cycle, does not go for 2 fireballs. I like this macro play, just decides to go Xbow to force him to defend the bow, and as you can see, it's just gonna force quite a lot out, and he couldn't afford to go all in on the spell cycle, so just like that, Betfas does get the win by about 80 HP. Insanely close match, but very impressive performance against Golden Knight Hogs EQ. Insane win, honestly. Alright, we got Betfas versus Riley, and this is what I want to see, because look at the state of the board. Betfas is down 1,000 in the right and about 800 in the left, and this matchup, Hypno bait, is honestly not that bad for Xbow, but you're pretty much guaranteed to be down damage in single at some point, because against a good player, they just pressure you to no end, and it's a lot to deal with. But now, the reverse turntable is happening, where it's going to be a situation of Betfas constantly pressuring, and Riley trying to withstand his pressure. Falk is going to tank for days. Betfas drops another bow on the board, so now we see Betfas coming alive. If you guys did not recognize from the board state earlier, what kind of led to this sequence was a defensive Expo by Betfas into an offensive Expo sequence, so that is kind of the way that you want to equalize in a position like this. Especially because if you look at the Hypno deck, they don't have a big spell in their deck, so it's pretty important to utilize that, and you can go for a defensive X if you need. Nice log for Betfas, about 300 coming in on the right tower. E-Spirit plus Knight is going to block against that Goblin Gang. Archer's counter pushing in the right, and I think Betfas is about 1 card away from an Expo again, so he's definitely going to get back to it and probably pressure once more. We'll see the Skellies, maybe 2 cards, yeah. Skellies Archers, he should be back now. Might see a log on that Gang, yes we do as well. I think another big, important concept in this matchup is using log on offense, because if you're stuck on defense, you're just going to be in a perpetual state of having a bad cycle, not being able to break through on offense. Betfas sacks the Dark Goblin in the left, which is totally fine because his left side tower is actually weaker, or healthier rather, than his right side tower. He can afford to take damage on the healthy side. 2 Expos on the board now. E-Spirit will come down for the breakers, plus the log. Now it's to block the Goblin Gang, or Dark Goblin does so with the Skellies Archers. 2 Expos whittling away at the board right now, and this just looks very tough for Riley to withstand, because now Betfas has brought it all the way back. 3 Expos down, and Riley is still holding on. He is known to be really good at these positions. He knows how to defend against Expo, no matter what the situation is, but can he hold on? Betfas finally caves, throws the Fireball instead of going Expo again, because he realizes he's not going to break through against Riley's pressure. All he has to do is throw 2 more Fireballs, even 1 honestly, and secure the win, because again, the Hypno deck does indeed run 0 spells in the deck. Kind of an interesting concept for a deck, I guess. But yes, catching the Prince at the bridge too, and just a nice comeback, constant offensive pressure, then at the end, recognizing that he could not get a lock, so instead he chose to take the 2 Fireball route. Very well done against the best log bait player of all time. Alright, we got Betfas versus Charvit, and this is going to be an insane one, because Charvit, known as one of the best recruits players in the world with this deck. I know you guys probably despise recruits if you're watching this, don't worry, so do I, but there are genuinely talented recruits players, believe me. Charvit is one of my friends, and he is very good at this deck, and this matchup is basically impossible for 3.0 Xbow cycles, so I would like to see how Betfas handles this. We see an early Tesla and a Knight to protect the Tesla, very well done. I honestly always wonder what to do when they go recruits and then Goblin Gang split. It looks like just protecting the Tesla worked out beautifully for Betfas there, not giving any arrows value with the Archers, for example, and Charvit is also playing with the Firecracker in this deck, Evo Breakers, of course, and then the Mighty Miner, and I think he might... Yeah, Firecracker and Arrow should be last 2 cards, yeah. So this is going to be tough. We see an aggressive Expo by Betfas, but recognizing that Charvit was not back to recruits, but now he is, so I wonder if he actually stands by that decision. We do see an E-Spirit Evo Tesla in the right, which will clean up a lot of those recruits, actually looking to be pretty worthwhile. The problem is, though, Charvit is now back to Hog, and Betfas is not back to a Tesla anytime soon, so how exactly is he going to deal with this Hog Rider? I don't really know, but we'll find out. Charvit does have to respond to these Evo Archers, so it looks like Betfas kind of sequenced that to have his Evos both in cycle for his push. Charvit sacks both power shots, but has a huge punish coming back. E-Spirit plus Log might come down. Yes, no, we'll see E-Spirit plus Tesla, okay. So actually quite a lot of damage in for Charvit, more than Betfas got. He got 2 power shots, which is a fair amount in this matchup, but it's definitely not enough to compete with the hog hits and the wallbreaker pressure by Charvit. So also notice Charvit's actually being really smart right now, not really using his Firecracker in any way, where Firecracker is so annoying to kill for Xbow and it's really tough, but what it does also give up is the King Tower activation. So also, what will Betfas log? Log's on the right over there after having the Hog Rider fully controlled. And we see an E-Spirit and Archer stacked, which will do a great job outcycling the arrows, getting back to a new pair of Archers. Firecracker finally makes its first debut in this match, which will get a bit of damage, but finally an activation as well for Betfas. So this still looks so hard, man. I don't know how you're ever going to come back when you're down this much in this matchup. Evo Tesla will put in quite a lot of work though, and Xbow to support. I believe he does have recruits available, does Charvit, to defend this Xbow though. Mighty Miner also getting a bit close to the tower, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. We'll see Evo Archers in the right opposite lane to the Xbow to prevent arrows value. Charvit just lets the Evo Archers whittle away and demolish those recruits in the right side. Back to an Xbow for Betfas. This sequence is looking pretty crazy. So it looks like what Betfas does in this matchup, guys, is he likes to go in when he has both Evos in cycle. Gets an Xbow lock in the left and is about to get an Xbow lock in the right, I think. Oh my goodness, he is back. He gets a lock in the left. He gets a lock in the right too. Wallbreaker is misplaced for Charvit. Maybe just nervous, I don't even know. That breaker should not connect because the king is helping out. Xbow again for Betfas, recognizing Charvit's exact elixir. Not enough for the recruits to come down in time. Knight will come down. I think he can go for recruits now, but early Knight, early Archers will make insane work of quickly DPSing down those recruits. Also notice Betfas is not really trying to kite these recruits in the opposite lane out of range. He just likes to kind of maintain them and keep them where the Xbow can hit them to just kind of take them out, you know? But that was actually crazy. He knew recruits were coming down, so he went Knight Archers so early to DPS them down before Charvit could even afford arrows for the Archers. That is a crazy way to use your Archers. A prediction Evo Archers on the Firecracker. That, I actually cannot believe what we're witnessing. This is just next level Xbow gameplay. I do not understand. This is just wild. Log will come down for those Evo breakers. E-Spirit as well, and Tesla too. The Evo Archers power shotting in the right, and Betfas gets a huge connection in the right lane while taking 0 hits at the same time in the left. I do not understand what I just witnessed. I swear I always crash out against this matchup, but Betfas just showing us that he is different. He beats hard counters, and I don't have any words. Alright, Betfas versus Sophian. This is going to be an insane one. Sophian, one of the best RG players in the entire world, as you saw in his profile. #1 global tourney, #2 ladder, and oh, what is going on? Betfas, no Tesla in cycle for that RG. Sophian forcing out the Evo Archers on defense and still getting about 3-4 RG shots on the tower. That is absolutely huge. Betfas' tower crumbles all the way down to 2.5k. This is looking so bad. I think Betfas has to go Xbow on 6 right now. Yes, he will, because Sophian just got a lot of damage. Betfas has to get it back. Sophian, no elixir for the RG right away. See a log on the Fisher. Xbow will lock in the right, but E-Spirit does not catch that E-Spirit of Sophian's, but a nice E-Spirit retarget on the Ghost. Still not going to be enough. The Ghost does unfortunately splash the Xbow, and Sophian now has a 1000 damage lead. This is not looking good, guys. This is genuinely... This matchup, I actually have played this matchup quite a lot myself, and I think it really just comes down to spell cycle and perfect micro. What you want to do as Xbow side is you want to go into double elixir with a damage lead and equal elixir. That way you can just kind of force them to be on the offense if they have to overcommit on offense, and it's going to be painful for them to deal with. Betfas might defensive Xbow here. No, he goes offensive. Pre-log the Skellies in the middle. Oh my god, what are these plays? Fisherman down low, and Hunter has to be responded to as well. Maybe just with a Tesla. We see the Skellies getting logged by Sophian, both players with the crazy pre-logs coming down. Nice micro by Betfas, insane micro, matter of fact. We'll see the Archers get taken out, and a Lightning on the Tesla, Knight on the RG. Might see an Xbow in a second here by Betfas. I think we will, because he kind of has to, right? I mean, how's he going to equalize if he doesn't do that? Yes, we see an Xbow. We see maybe a Tesla in the corner. That's why we played Xbow in the middle. Evo Archers come out the Fisherman. RG just come down, predicted by the Tesla. Like I said, that is why he went Xbow in the middle, to go Tesla on the corner and block the RG on the Xbow. That is crazy. And now Sophian at 5-6 elixir, no elixir for the RG. Lightning comes down late. Betfas Xbow again, while Sophian's on 4. He's on 3, 4, 3. He does not have enough for the RG. He has to go Fisher or Hunter. We'll see a Fireball on the Fisher, and he is done. He has nothing for the Hunter, nothing for the RG, nothing for the Lightning. No elixir. Has to Lightning now. It is too little, too late. That is so much damage damage pouring in for Betfas. Xbow again, yes we will, and still no elixir for the RG in time, so let's go low Esprit to stall. Now Skelly's, now he definitely has enough, but that was a crazy sequence, and all of that, guys, began with the pre-log in the middle. That was just crazy on the Skellies, forcing Sophian to go Fisherman low and just be bleeding on elixir the whole time. Betfas was forced to make a counterattack to equalize in a position where he was down damage, and he was able to do exactly that. We see a nice counter push, by the way, with the Knight Archers, so Sophian couldn't really afford that random lightning cycle. Like, that is how you play the matchup from RG's side, but not at that time. And again, a fireball when he's not at 4 elixir, so he has nothing in cycle except Hunter, RG, Lightning, and like Log, and he just could not withstand that pressure. Crazy, crazy punishes for a win against the best RG. Alright, we got Betfas versus Friend. This is going to be a great one. Friend, one of the best Lavaloon players in the world, has a number 13 ladder, number 2 global tournament with Lavaloon. Always going for that single-digit finish. Betfas, on the other end, has a very unique playstyle in this matchup. I don't know why, but he always goes Xbow opposite to the Lava Hound and still makes it work even if he enters a weird tower trade situation. So let's see, exactly as I called it actually, an Xbow opposite lane comes down to meet that Lava Hound in the left, and we'll see exactly how Betfas deals with this insane push considering he's down elixir, having split archers, and the right archer is essentially going to be a waste of 1.5 elixir because it just kind of goes and dies. We see a Tesla come down and the Xbow on the inner placement. Note that, guys, because this balloon will get pulled all the way over to the Xbow in the other lane. In the meantime, Betfas kites the iDrag back, gets a great fireball off on the Lavaloon pups plus the iDrag, and Archers plus Esprit for Betfas as well will take care of that entire push in the right, and Friend cannot help but laugh because Betfas has once again somehow gone in opposite lane and survived the pressure even though he was down elixir. Friend just chooses to arrows the King Tower and just throws in the towel, so that is going to be GG's. I think it's only safe to assume that Friend is actually giving up and not trying to pretend to give up. This matchup is honestly very good for Xbow, so if you guys play against Lavaloon, I would say you should always win this matchup. One piece of advice I can give you is that it is honestly much safer to go in same lane than opposite lane against Lavaloon because you don't want to risk a tower trade situation if you're not comfortable going in and playing opposite lane like Betfas does. But nonetheless, that play, Xbow one lane, Tesla to kite the balloon over from the other side, very nice play, always works for Betfas, so what can I say, right? And that's going to put him at number 1 in the entire world. As you can see on the leaderboard, Betfas is now number 1, and this is crazy. Alright, we got Betfas versus Tourist, who, as you can see, has a number 1 ladder with P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam, and he also just won the CRL warm-up, beating players like Mohammed Light. So Tourist is by no means any slouch, going to be an insane opponent on the come-up this year in CRL and competitive, and it's going to be a great match. We see a P.E.K.K.A. at the bridge, which is not even a bad play by Tourist, because it's going to tank for the Golden Knight and just cause Betfas to be in a terrible cycle. Archer stacked in the left, and this is so much. How is he going to defend? Skelly's in the middle, Knight to kite as well. Archer's putting in quite a lot of work, but this P.E.K.K.A. is still very healthy. We see the log in the middle, the E-Spirit, and that micro might have been some of the craziest micro I've ever seen. I do not know how he defended that, but he did. That is just ridiculous because he was down quite a bit of elixir, I think. He kind of just had a Knight going into a P.E.K.K.A. Golden Knight, and he got away with that defense. That is absurd. So very, very beautifully done by Betfas on that micro. And Tourist, of course, again, an amazing P.E.K.K.A. player, an insanely talented bridge spam player that can definitely punish if you have a bad cycle or if you're low on elixir, so it's going to be tough. Looks like he has an interesting variation of P.E.K.K.A. with Arrows, Rage, Golden Knight, Evo, Ram. So I think he might not have a big spell, which might be the saving grace for Betfas in this game, because maybe even if he never breaks through, he can kind of just spell cycle and win with the fireballs. But Mother Witch for Tourist, okay, that's going to be a bit annoying too, because Mother Witch can actually make you choke games from Xbow's side. It honestly just can, because it's just kind of complicated how it works. We see a high log by Betfas, which is pretty curious. I wonder why he chose not to log low and hit the pig as well. And that micro, honestly, in direct contrast to the micro at the start, that is so much damage for Tourist. Oh my goodness. Betfas not logging low, and then the E-Spirit was honestly just really unlucky, did not actually come down in time for the Mother Witch to get chained. Actually, Mother Witch got 2 shots on the E-Spirit and actually just turned it into a pig. But now we see the Xbow on offense getting some crazy counter-pushing pressure. Skellies as well. Tesla high to DPS. Might get a Knight down in front. Yes, we will. So that is a lot of damage equalized by Betfas. And that was just crazy recognition that he barely did not have enough looks for the P.E.K.K.A in time. And so he gets a lock. I don't think we'll see an Xbow right now. I think he needs to make some kind of comeback. We will see an Xbow, but a Golden Knight Evo Ram in the left, kited out of range with the E-Spirit, and then Skelly's Tesla. What is this micro, man? We need to see a log ASAP. No, we don't, but instead we see the Golden Knight dashing onto the tower. A log comes down late, and Betfas gets 1 Expo tick for all of that struggle, now down to 580 in the left side. This is looking very dire, guys. This is dire straits for Betfas. I don't know how he's going to win this. I mean, Tourist has Arrow's Rage. If he really wants, he can even just Arrow's Rage spell cycle. And missing the Mother Witch with the Fireball, everything is going wrong for Betfas in this game. I don't know if he can do it. He's down a grand total of 6 Elixir, if you look at the Elixir bars too. Tourist can basically just ignore that entire Knight Archer, or just go low Ewes, I guess, get a counter push off of it. Betfas, though, kind of wants to ignore this Golden Knight as well, so let's see if he's able to do that. E-Spirit, Golden Knight might dash onto the Archers too, though. No, we will not see that. And I guess it ends on the tower, right, so we can't really do that dash. We see a log by Betfas, and Tourist just kind of clogging the right lane, which is exactly what he wants to do, because Betfas needs to, again, make a kind of pressure situation happen. Same as the Sophian game, he needs to equalize and get a damage lead, and I don't really see how he's going to do that in this situation. You see an Expo come down now. Look at that patience. He didn't just spam Expos randomly. He went Expo at the right time when he had a Knight counter pushing. We will see a Fireball, yes, because that is a huge Fireball on the Ewiz plus Golden Knight. Evo Ram forced out by Tourist, but Evo Archers and Arrows do miss the Evo Archers. We have a Knight, 2 Knights in the right side, 1 Evo Archer still alive, Expo whittling away constantly, and just like that, wait, the Knight gets a hit. Oh my god, that's game. Just like that, Betfas came back. I cannot believe what we just saw. One of the craziest comebacks on top ladder I think I've ever seen. Great win against Tourist, one of the best P.E.K.K.A in the world. Alright, Betfas versus Samuel Basodto. Ooh, Samuel, one of my favorite players of all time to watch, honestly. One of the most talented Clash Royale players in history. As you saw on his profile, he has some number 1s, number 2s, number 3s on his badges. Has competed in CRL multiple times and gone very far, so definitely going to be no easy feat for Betfas in this game here. As Samuel is playing this new meta kind of minor poison deck. I believe his last card should be the Goblin Hut, and a crazy Fireball by Betfas, but you guys might be wondering why he did that. And the reason is because this game is essentially going to come down to spell cycle, where it's minor poisons versus Expos and Fireballs. And so Betfas just takes the Fireball in the minor, which honestly, I would not advise you guys do that play if you don't know what the opponent has, but since this is top ladder, Betfas knows Samuel's exact deck and how he's supposed to play this matchup. That is actually a good play, where you just take the Fireball on something like a minor in single, so that you can just kind of get your spell cycle game going, because as you can see, that actually does help him get into the lead now with the help of the second Fireball on the Goblin Hut. Those Evo Bats in the left are actually going to be pretty easily dealt with. Samuel looking like he's entirely switching lanes to Betfas' lane, but an Evo Tesla Expo in the left, so Betfas pulls the Uno reverse and says, you want to switch to my lane, well I'm switching to yours back, because honestly, you do not want to go same lane with Expo cycle against these matchups. You absolutely don't. So we see a nice Evo Tesla pressure on the breakers plus the Knight Archer pressure on the right. That is some crazy dual lane shenanigans by Betfas. The Mighty Miner Bomb will take care of everything, but Samuel bleeding for Elixir down to 5 with no Mighty Miner in cycle. I think he's also back to a log as Betfas gets a nice lock in the left as well. Evo Archer's melting everything, gets another lock in the right. Samuel does get a very nice log though, and this honestly, yo, prediction E-Spirit on the bats, oh my goodness, forcing out a Mighty Miner. That was kind of cold, and now we'll have to see Betfas defend this Mighty Miner. Still, the problem with the situation is that Betfas has all his damage in the right lane, and Samuel has kind of switched into the right lane himself, so it's going to be tough because it's going to just end up with Betfas going into the same lane that Samuel has. So we'll see exactly how he's able to maintain this, but I think it's going to be pretty tough. He's probably going to have to go for some Expos in the left at some point, or maybe he'll just be super patient and Fireball it out. I'm not entirely sure. We see one Archer getting a shot in the left. Knight does catch that Miner perfectly, and Mighty Miner in the back for Samuel, getting that 3-card cycle. Fireball in on the Mighty Miner. As you can see, that is how you play these matchups. And so Betfas might go Bow in the left to pressure, and again, Fireball cycle on the right. just to keep this going. Yes, and a beautiful Evo Tesla to kill those Evo Bats too. Aggressive poison by Samuel might be the final nail in the coffin. A beautiful log on the breakers. I don't understand how, but Betfas always takes out those wall breakers, Evo breakers on the Expo without taking any splash damage. It's crazy. We see some insane dual lane pressure again. Knight Evo Archer one lane, Expo Evo Archer Tesla in the other lane, and Knight gets a shot on the tower. Expo gets a lock on the left side tower. I think it was just way too much for Samuel to deal with, and just like that, Betfas gets the double Expo lock at the end. Samuel is not happy about it, and that was an insane win against one of the best players in the world.